You found Channel 13. Keep watching. Keep watching. Keep watching. Keep watching. Keep watching.
Live from your grave.
Things happen in video gaming every day of the week, and sometimes I skim articles about them. I'm here to share with you the summaries of those titles of those articles. And I'm here to make speculations and just make stuff up in general. Also, I've got some new Simpsons clips. Hey, quick correction from last week about the Razer Edge handheld mobile device. Razer actually had the incorrect amount of RAM on the Wi-Fi version, so there is actually a difference between the Wi-Fi version and the Verizon version, which they announced this week. So there's only 6 gigabytes of RAM on the Wi-Fi version, and there are 8 gigabytes of RAM for the Verizon version. Although the Verizon version only costs you $10 a month, you also have to sign up for one of their services, which the cheapest is $80 for I think a 3-year contract. So this handheld mobile device that's a phone, that also isn't a phone, will cost you over $3,200. So you can play Genshin Impact while you're pooping at a rest stop. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but I don't find it to be worth that price, especially when you consider this whole streaming games thing is supposed to cut out the need for an expensive console or an expensive computer. Except now this gaming device costs $100 more than a Nintendo Switch, $170 more than a Series S, and $100 less than a PS5 or a Series X. So what's the point? So it's portable, who cares? So's my phone, so's my tablet, so's my Steam Deck, which costs the same amount of money. I mean, they just really missed the mark on this one. What the hell's the point of it? That's a hell of a lot of money for a phone that's not a phone, and a gaming system that's not an actual gaming system. It's a $400 screen. That's what it is. A $400 screen. Or, you know, a $3,200 screen if you go through Verizon. If you did pre-order the Wi-Fi version and they haven't shipped it yet, they will cancel your order free of charge. It is quite the process, I understand, but they will give you your money back based on their information they put out that was incorrect. So at least that's nice of them. And that will actually be the last of a company being nice for the rest of the episode. Bethesda has announced their next major game, Starfield, aka Elder Scrolls Goes to Space, has yet again been delayed. The original delay announcement actually came out a few weeks ago, however, Bethesda just recently in the last week announced that they'd have release information for everybody very soon. We can kind of speculate from this, or at least I'm going to, that they're having severe problems with the game. Of course, you should have seen this coming, since this is the first game they created with the Creation Engine 2, the successor of Bethesda's Creation Engine, which in turn is based off the Gamebryo engine, which at this point is over 2 decades old. And this has caused a lot of problems with modern games because supposedly there's still a lot of code left over from the Gamebryo engine in the Creation Engine 2. And this old code just is not up to snuff dealing with modern hardware. Hell, I still remember my first session in Skyrim for 8 hours on my PS3, seeing that little autosave logo spinning in the corner, to come find out when I'm going to turn off my PS3 and go to bed for the night that I can't save my game, and that little autosave logo spinning in the corner all night wasn't saving any of my data either. And then I had to sit through that whole cart ride again. I don't understand. John Carmack gave you the answer in the 90s. You get your few games out of an engine, and then when you're ready for a new one, you open up Visual Studio, click on File, the New Project, and you create something brand new, specifically built for hardware available. You have access to the Doom engine through ZeniMax owning id Software. Just use that. You don't need to keep building your own engine. And then maybe we could get to Elder Scrolls 6 before I'm in diapers and too enfeebled to play the game. Now, considering I don't really know anything about the situation, it wouldn't be completely fair of me to blame their elderly engine for everything. So let's also blame Microsoft for no good reason. See, Starfield had ambitious beginnings as a cross-platform title. That'll change when Microsoft purchased ZeniMax Media, the corporate overlords of Bethesda, for $7.5 billion in 2021. After that, this became a Microsoft platform exclusive release. I would assume that there is a lot of pressure on this game now, since they have done away with 30 million PS5 users as a market. That puts a lot of expectations on the Xbox release tie ratio, and that's how many games need to be sold for each Xbox Series S and X sold in the market. Though, I don't really understand business, if this surprises you. I don't know how much power Microsoft has over Bethesda. I mean, they're the owners of the owners, but I'm not sure if they get involved in the day-to-day of a company 2 steps down. At any rate, everything should work out fine. It's not like Microsoft Gaming is in bad shape or anything. So completely unrelated, Microsoft is laying off 10,000 employees, the bulk of which are reportedly from their gaming division. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because corporations are horrible, horrible monsters. The tech world is in for a reckoning this year as several different countries are dragging tech giants into court and slapping them with antitrust and unfair practices violations. I'm not sure if there's any validity to these allegations, but the companies seem concerned. The other thing I find odd is, and I've explained that I'm not a business guy and I don't understand it, especially on the level of Microsoft, but I am a logical and realistic person. Like, I'm fully aware that this episode will get about 60 views, and more than likely I'm talking to myself at this point. But it would seem the monstrous growth and profits achieved by these companies in 2020 and 2021 were not being treated as anomalous. Like these companies just assumed they were on a ramp that would launch them into the stratosphere, and they weren't going to just be dropped off a cliff. So when all these companies dragged their employees back to the office, they never realized that when this happens, people have less time to play games, so they buy less games? Apparently they didn't earmark any of this money for the eventual drop-off, and now they have to lay off a ton of people? Now I know the answer is right in front of us. They are a massive corporation and ultimately don't care about employees, but they do care about their image. And I'm not talking about their image in our eyes, the consumer. I'm talking about their image within the market. I mean, if you lay off 10,000 people, you would assume investors would lose confidence in you and start selling your stock off, causing you to lose even more money. On top of that, they're still fighting in court to force their $68.7 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard through, and all of this while they're claiming the market is shrinking? You know you only get games out of Activision Blizzard, right? They don't do anything else? Here's some advice for the future. The next time there's a colossal rise in profits, maybe you should plan ahead and set aside some of it instead of dancing around in a room full of money like Chris Rock in the crack sorting room in New Jack City. But at least you always have Windows. Windows 11 sucks! Okay, that should be the end of my corporations being stupid ranting. So, rumors of a PlayStation 5 Pro have been popping up. God damn it, Sony. Apparently, this liquid-cooled advanced version could launch as early as April of this year. That sounds a little far-fetched, since the launch date is only a few months away and there have literally been no details on the system other than it is bigger and more powerful and liquid-cooled. I really hope they aren't moving to a Pro platform this early. I don't think we should be seeing one for another 5 years at least. I'm certainly not re-upping on a new console this quickly. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course I am. But I'm not going to be happy about it, damn it. Console generations are generally split into thirds. We're not even out of the first 3 years of the original PS5. The second and third phases of the life cycle of a console are when the really impressive games come out as they get more out of the system and start understanding the architecture better. Releasing a new, more powerful console now would send the wrong message, as if to say we're going to be giving up on the PS5 even earlier. And what would stop them from releasing the PS5 Pro in 6 years? Or in 9 years, releasing the PS5 Pro? Huh? Tell me that. Again, the French site Phone Android released this article, and this was all according to a quote-unquote insider. These rumors should always be taken with a grain of salt, and really honestly just be considered rumors until the company itself comes out and announces the new platform. If console gaming is going to go into the constant upgrading cycle that PC gaming is, I'll just stick to PC gaming. Or just streaming games on Xbox Game Pass and ignore hardware altogether. That's better than constantly buying new hardware that'll be impossible to find due to manufacturing shortages. Speaking of manufacturing shortages, Sony has announced that they will be cutting the initial production run of the PS VR2 due in February 2023 from a planned 2 million units to only 500,000. This isn't due to component shortages, but the apparent lack of interest from the public and disappointing pre-order sales. This isn't surprising to me at all. The VR set is more than the console itself. And not to mention, it's still reasonably difficult to walk into a store and buy a PS5. Sony, you better get your shit together. You seem to be frantically trying to find a hook for your console, like you don't know what to do with it. You're just adding more gadgets and more power. Just keep making fun games. And make more PS5s, man! Alright, that's enough for this week. I can't fucking read about these guys being idiots anymore. So, it's time for my Game of the Week, which so happens this week to be my Games of the Week. I actually played the hell out of 2 games this week that split my time pretty much equally. The first one I'm going to start with is Hi-Fi Rush. This game was shadow dropped onto Xbox Game Pass and Steam and Windows. It's done by Tango Games. These guys created The Evil Within, The Evil Within 2, Ghostwire Tokyo. I mean, obviously a great pedigree there. And this game is, you know how rhythm games other than Parappa the Rappa suck? Well, to me, this game belongs right up there with Parappa the Rapper. I usually don't even go for the cel-shaded games, and I love the artwork. It's got an anime twist to it. It was published by Bethesda Softworks, and I don't think it was made on the Creation Engine 2. Which means that my character never got stuck in walls or fell through the floor, or there weren't NPCs just wandering around aimlessly and not giving me my quests. I mean, to be fair, there aren't really any quests. This is just a rhythm-based action game. You get bonuses for hitting things on the beat. The artwork is great. The entire world moves to the music. I had so much fun, and I'm generally not into these rhythm-based games, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. The Black Keys and Nine Inch Nails do the soundtrack for the game. I'm not sure if they're original songs. I wasn't really paying attention to the music, if that makes sense. I was more like focused on the rhythm. This is such a well-polished game to me that it's really bizarre that they didn't market it in any way or they didn't really advertise it. I wasn't really aware of it. I kind of heard a few things about it. I mean, I know you would like to use word of mouth a lot of times to build the hype of a game, but this is such a unique game that you would think that you'd want to advertise it more for your platform because it allows your platform to kind of stand alone. I don't know. Again, I don't understand business, so I do understand games, and I really enjoyed this one. The other game I spent a lot of time on was Katana Zero by ASCIIsoft. This game was published by Devolver Digital, which released the Hotline Miami games, which actually makes a lot of sense because those 2 games share a lot of the same DNA. In fact, these games are so similar in style that I thought that it was the same developer that made them, but apparently not. They both kind of have those levels that are broken into different rooms, and you kind of have to figure out the puzzle of how to kill the enemies in the correct order of your actions to get through each level. One-hit kills, you restart from the beginning and constantly play the same level until you get it right. And honestly, I love the Hotline Miami games. I know a lot of people are getting tired of the pixelated artwork. I guess. I've heard this. I don't know why. Yeah, it kind of gets annoying with the 80s nostalgia, but pixelated artwork allows a very small team now to create a very good game without having to worry about this like stellar art style. However, the art style in this game, the pixelated characters they use and everything else, the animations, I thought were amazing. They really spent a lot of time on it. I love the way the narrative is presented in this game, and again, it's a lot like Hotline Miami. I hate going back to it all the time, but it's very surreal in like a very David Lynch kind of way, if that makes sense. The story, as it's given to you, relies a lot on very bizarre dream sequences. It relies on a lot of metaphors, and you kind of left to figure things out and try to kind of understand what's going on right in front of you because it doesn't really expressly explain everything that you see right off the bat. In game-wise, you're playing a samurai who takes contracts to go kill certain individuals. At the beginning, you get phone calls explaining what you're supposed to be doing in each level. So some levels don't kill anyone, some levels kill everyone, some levels do not have a discussion with your target, some levels find out information. And from there, you can choose to follow your orders or go your own way and completely ignore your employer's request. And between each level, you go see your therapist and try to work out your nightmares that are dealing with your shadowy past as a child. I know it sounds weird, but it all works. It came out in 2019. It's on Mac OS, Nintendo Switch, Windows, and Xbox One. It's currently on Game Pass, I think, so give it a try, please. It would be great to get these numbers up there and have this developer make another game. And also, the soundtrack just kicks ass. And that's all for me this week. I'd like to thank you for stopping by and listening if you still are. If you left earlier, well then you won't mind if I say, hey, fuck you, listen to the whole thing next time. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you want to, hit that notification bell. It'll let you know when we sporadically put out our videos here on UHF Channel 13. I've linked all the articles I used for research in this episode below, and if you agree or disagree with anything I have to say, go ahead and comment it below. We'll have a nice little conversation about it. About how you're stupid and I'm right. I'm joking. I just skim these articles anyways. I'm just making shit up half the time. Hey, thanks for stopping by. See you next time.